7-year-old Lila Brooks stood in the vast marble lobby of Calder Tech, tiny hands shaking as she clutched a wrinkled envelope against her bright red dress. Inside were words that would shatter everything Ethan Calder believed about his life. Security guards in crisp maroon uniforms ringed the small girl, their voices rising, insistent. "You need to leave now," Officer R. Perez snapped, reaching for Lila's arm. "This is a private building." Lila edged back, dark eyes wide with fear yet unwavering. "I need to see Mr. Ethan Calder. My mama said it's very important." "Listen, kid," he huffed. "Mr. Calder doesn't see anyone without an appointment. Especially not children who wander in off the street." Her lower lip trembled, but she gripped the letter tighter. "Please, sir. My mom is very sick. She wrote this for Mr. Ethan. She said he would want to read it." Carmen Delgado, the head of security, watched the scene unfold from the elevator bank. Something about the child's desperate plea caught her attention. At 45, Carmen had seen enough of the world to recognize genuine need when she saw it. The girl's mixed race features were striking, and there was something familiar about her eyes. "What's going on here?" Carmen asked, stepping forward in her maroon security uniform. "Found this kid in the lobby claiming she needs to see Mr. Calder," Perez explained. "She won't leave." Carmen knelt down to Lila's eye level. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Lila Brooks. My mama is Amina Green. She told me to bring this letter to Mr. Ethan Calder. She said it would explain everything." The name Amina Green hit Carmen like a physical blow. She remembered Amina well. 8 years ago, Amina had been a frequent visitor to the building, always wearing those beautiful green dresses that complemented her dark skin perfectly. She had been Ethan's girlfriend, the woman who had disappeared suddenly, leaving Ethan heartbroken and confused. "Show me the letter," Carmen said gently. Lila hesitated, then held up the envelope. In shaky handwriting, it was addressed to Ethan Calder, Calder Tech. The return address showed Amina Green's name. Carmen's mind raced. If Amina was sick and sending her daughter here with a letter, something serious was happening. And if this child was Amina's daughter, and she was 7 years old, the timeline would match up perfectly with when Amina had disappeared. "Perez, escort everyone else back to their duties," Carmen ordered. "I'm taking Layla to see Mr. Calder." "Ma'am, you know Mr. Calder's rules about unscheduled visitors. This isn't a regular visitor. Trust me on this one." Subscribe to find out what happens next and share your thoughts in the comments below. Carmen took Lila's free hand. "Come on, honey. Let's go see Mr. Calder." As they rode the elevator to the 40th floor, Lila looked up at Carmen with those familiar eyes. "Is Mr. Ethan nice?" Mama said he was the kindest man she ever knew. "He is a good man," Carmen replied, though she wondered how Ethan would react to the surprise from his past. The elevator doors opened to reveal the executive floor's pristine white walls and gleaming floors. Ethan's assistant, Mrs. Whitaker, looked up from her desk in surprise. "Carmen, what's this about?" "Mr. Calder is in back-to-back meetings all day. This can't wait," Carmen said firmly. "Tell him Amina Green's daughter is here with a letter." Mrs. Whitaker's eyes widened. Everyone who had worked at Calder Tech long enough knew about Amina Green, the beautiful woman who had captured their boss's heart and then vanished without explanation. "He's with Vanessa Price right now, reviewing the quarterly reports." "Interrupt them. This is more important than any business meeting." Mrs. Whitaker hesitated, then picked up her phone. "Mr. Calder, I'm sorry to disturb you, but Carmen Delgado is here with a young girl who says she has a letter from Amina Green." Even through the closed office door, they could hear the sudden silence that fell over the room. "Send them in immediately," came Ethan's voice through the intercom. Lila's small hand squeezed Carmen's as they approached the massive oak doors. "I'm scared," she whispered. "Don't be, sweetheart. Mr. Ethan will help you and your mama, I promise." The doors swung open to reveal Ethan Calder's impressive corner office. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a stunning view of the city skyline. Ethan stood behind his desk in a sharp blue suit, his dark hair perfectly styled, but his face had gone pale. Beside him, Vanessa Price crossed her arms, her expensive black pantsuit and blonde hair making her look like a magazine model, but her expression was far from welcoming. Amina Green, Ethan said quietly, as if testing the name on his lips after years of silence. Leela stepped forward, her red dress bright against the neutral office colors. "Mr. Ethan, I'm Leela. This is from my mama." She held out the letter with both hands, her small voice steady despite her obvious nervousness. Ethan walked around his desk slowly, his eyes never leaving Lila's face. As he got closer, Carmen saw the exact moment when recognition hit him. Leila had Amina's eyes, her nose, her smile, but there was something else there too. Something that made Ethan's breath catch. "How old are you, Leila?" he asked gently, kneeling down to her level. 7. I'll be 8 next month." Ethan's hand shook slightly as he took the letter. 7 years old. The timing was perfect. Too perfect to be a coincidence. How can a simple letter from a child's mother change everything in just one moment? What secrets could be so powerful that they would bring a billionaire CEO to his knees? Vanessa stepped forward, her voice sharp with suspicion. "Ethan, you can't seriously be considering whatever scam this is. Anyone could have coached this child to say these things." But Ethan wasn't listening to Vanessa anymore. His entire focus was on the little girl standing before him in her bright red dress, holding the letter that was about to change his world forever. Layla looked between the adults, sensing the tension in the room. "My mama said you would understand when you read her words. She said you would remember the promise you made to her." Ethan's heart stopped. Amina was the only person who knew about the promise he had made the night before she disappeared. The promise to love her forever, to never give up on their future together. With trembling fingers, he opened the envelope and began to read the words that would shatter everything he thought he knew about the last 8 years of his life. Ethan's eyes moved across Amina's familiar handwriting, each word hitting him like a physical blow. His hands trembled as he read, "My dearest Ethan, if you are reading this letter, it means I am too sick to tell you the truth myself. I need you to know that Leela is your daughter. She was born 8 months after I left. And every day since then, I have regretted the decision that tore us apart. Vanessa came to me the day after you proposed. She showed me photos that she claimed proved you were cheating on me with her. She said you were only with me temporarily, that you could never truly love someone like me. I was young and scared, and I believed her lies. By the time I realized the truth, you had moved on with Vanessa. I saw the engagement announcement in the newspaper. I thought you were happy, so I stayed away. I thought I was protecting you from the burden of an unwanted child. But now I'm sick, Ethan, really sick. And Leela needs her father. She needs the man I fell in love with all those years ago. The man who promised me forever under the stars in Central Park. Please don't turn her away. She's the best part of both of us. All my love, Amina." Ethan read the letter 3 times before the words fully sank in. "Leela is your daughter."
The room seemed to spin around him as he looked at the little girl who was watching him with Amina's eyes. "Mr. Ethan." Lila's voice was small and worried. "Are you okay? You look sad." Ethan looked into her face and saw himself there too. The shape of her chin, the way she tilted her head when she was concerned. How had he not seen it immediately? "I'm not sad, Lila," he managed to say, his voice rough with emotion. "I'm just surprised." Vanessa's voice cut through the moment like ice. "Ethan, you can't possibly believe this obvious manipulation. Look at the timing. Amina shows up now, right when Calder Tech is about to go public. She wants money." "Vanessa, please," Ethan said without looking away from Lila. "No, I won't be silent while some woman from your past tries to scam you with a child who could belong to anyone. Demand a DNA test immediately. Layla's face crumpled at Vanessa's harsh words. I'm not lying. Mama showed me pictures of her and Mr. Ethan together. She said he was the love of her life. Ethan felt something break inside his chest. He knelt down again, bringing himself to Layla's eye level. I believe you, sweetheart, and I believe your mama. Would you like to call me Daddy? The word felt strange on his tongue, but also right. More right than anything had felt in 8 years. Layla's face lit up like sunshine breaking through clouds. Really? You want to be my daddy? More than anything in the world. Vanessa's face twisted with rage. Ethan, think about what you're doing. Your reputation, your business, everything we've built together. Everything we've built. Ethan stood up, his voice growing stronger. You mean everything you built on lies? He looked at Vanessa properly for the first time since Layla had entered the room. The woman he had planned to marry, the woman he had spent 8 years with, suddenly looked like a stranger. How had he never noticed the calculating coldness in her eyes? I gave you 8 years of my life, Vanessa said, her voice rising. I stood by you when Amina left. I helped you build this company into what it is today. You helped destroy the best thing that ever happened to me. Carmen cleared her throat softly. Mr. Calder, would you like me to take Layla to the cafeteria while you and Miss Price discuss this in private? Ethan glanced at Layla still clutching her letter, small and overwhelmed by the storm of adult feelings. That's a good idea. Layla, how about some ice cream while I handle a few things? Layla nodded, worry edging her voice. You'll still be my daddy when I come back? Ethan's chest tightened. From now until forever, I'll always be your daddy. That's a promise. As Carmen guided Layla out, Ethan heard Vanessa pacing behind him. 8 years, Ethan. I've stood by you for 8 years. You can't throw that away for a woman who walked out on you and a child who might not even be yours. He turned slowly. Amina didn't abandon me. You drove her off with lies. I protected you, Vanessa snapped. Amina Green was never right for you. She was a secretary. Ethan, a high school grad who would have held you back from everything you've built. She was the woman I loved, he said evenly. The woman I wanted to marry, to build a life with. And look what you have instead, she shot back. A billion-dollar company. The respect of every major business leader. A life people only dream about. Ethan walked to the window, staring down at the city. For 8 years he'd poured himself into work, raising an empire to fill the hollow Amina left. He had everything Vanessa listed, none of it had made him truly happy. Do you know what I thought about this morning? He asked quietly. What? How empty this office feels. How empty the penthouse feels. How empty everything feels despite all the success. He faced her again. Then a 7-year-old girl walks in and calls me daddy, and suddenly it all makes sense. Vanessa's expression iced over. Fine, go play house with Amina Green and her kid. See how long that lasts when the board learns their CEO has an illegitimate daughter. See what investors say when your past turns into sordid headlines. The board and the investors will back what makes me happy, he said. Layla makes me happy. Amina makes me happy. Amina might not even want you, Vanessa bit out. Did that occur to you? You've changed. You're not the man she left 8 years ago. For the first time since reading Amina's letter, Ethan smiled. You're right. I'm not the same man. I'm stronger now. I'm successful now. And I'm smart enough to recognize lies when I hear them. He walked to his desk and picked up the phone. Mrs. Whitaker, cancel all my appointments for the rest of the week and get Dr. Lila Hahn on the line. I need to find out which hospital Amina Green is in. Vanessa stared at him in disbelief. You're really going to do this? You're going to choose them over me? I'm going to choose love over lies, Vanessa. I should have done it 8 years ago. Vanessa's mask finally slipped completely, revealing the calculating woman underneath. "You'll regret this, Ethan." They both will. As Vanessa stormed out of the office, Ethan felt like he was breathing freely for the first time in 8 years. Somewhere in this city, Amina was sick and alone, probably thinking he didn't care about her or their daughter. But that was about to change. Ethan Calder was going to find his family. And this time, no one would tear them apart. Ethan sat alone in his office staring at Amina's letter as memories flooded back with painful clarity. 8 years dissolved away, and he was 27 again, meeting the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. Amina had been working as a receptionist at the accounting firm that handled Calder textbooks. Ethan had gone there personally to review some documents, and she had greeted him with a smile that stopped him in his tracks. Her dark skin seemed to glow under the office lights, and she wore a simple green dress that made her look like springtime itself. "Mr. Calder, I have your files ready," she had said, her voice warm and professional. "Please call me Ethan, and thank you for staying late to prepare these." "It's no problem. I know how important your company is." They had talked for 20 minutes about nothing and everything. Amina was studying business administration at night school while working full-time to support herself. She had dreams of starting her own event planning company someday. Ethan found himself completely captivated by her intelligence, her ambition, and her genuine kindness. He had asked her to dinner that night, and she had said yes. Their first date had lasted until sunrise. They talked about books, travel, their dreams for the future. Amina had grown up in foster care, moving from home to home until she aged out of the system at 18. She had worked multiple jobs to put herself through school, never letting hardship dim her optimism. "I want to create beautiful moments for people," she had told him over coffee at a tiny diner. "Weddings, celebrations, moments when families come together and remember what matters most." Ethan had fallen in love with her that very night. For 2 years, they had been inseparable. Amina quit her job at the accounting firm and came to work for Calder Tech as Ethan's personal assistant. Some people whispered about their relationship, but Ethan didn't care. Amina was brilliant, dedicated, and she made him want to be a better man. She started taking business classes at Kolya in the evenings. Ethan would pick her up after her classes, and they would drive through Central Park talking about their future. Amina wanted to start her event planning business after graduation. Ethan was already planning to fund it as a wedding gift. "I want to marry you," he had told her one night as they sat on a bench overlooking the park lake. "I want to spend every day of my life making you as happy as you make me." Amina had cried when he proposed, saying yes through her tears of joy. "You promise me forever," she had whispered. "Forever and beyond," he had replied. The ring had been a stunning emerald surrounded by diamonds chosen to match the green dress she had worn the day they met. Amina had cried again when she saw it, saying it was the most beautiful thing she had ever owned. They planned a spring wedding. Amina was finishing her degree and working on the preliminary plans for her business. Everything was perfect. Then Vanessa Price had arrived. Ethan remembered the day Vanessa started at Calder Tech as the new marketing director. She was ambitious, polished, and immediately began positioning herself as an asset to the company. She was also beautiful in a cold, calculated way that some men found attractive. Ethan had never given Vanessa a second thought romantically. He was completely devoted to Amina, but Vanessa had clearly had other plans. Looking back now, Ethan could see how carefully Vanessa had orchestrated everything. She began staying late at the office, finding excuses to work on projects with Ethan. She scheduled client dinners when Amina had evening classes, making it seem natural that she would accompany Ethan as the marketing director. Amina seems overwhelmed with school and work, Vanessa had mentioned casually one evening. "Are you sure she's ready for the pressure of being with someone in your position?" Ethan had dismissed such comments, but Vanessa kept planting seeds of doubt. She questioned whether Amina truly understood the business world. She suggested that Amina's background made her unsuitable for the kind of social events Ethan would need to attend as his company grew. "I'm not saying Amina isn't lovely," Vanessa would say with false concern. "I just worry that she might hold you back from reaching your full potential." But Ethan had never wavered in his love for Amina. He trusted her completely, which was why Amina's sudden departure had destroyed him so completely. One day, Amina had seemed perfectly normal. She had kissed him goodbye that morning, excited about her final exams. She had plans to meet him for lunch to finalize details for their wedding venue. But Amina never showed up for lunch. When Ethan went to their apartment that evening, she was gone. Her clothes, her books, her photos, everything. Only the engagement ring sat on the kitchen counter beside a short note. "I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry. Please don't try to find me." The blow shattered him. He hired private investigators, called every friend and contact Amina had ever mentioned. No one knew where she'd gone. It was like she'd evaporated.
3 months later, when Ethan was still barely functioning, Vanessa was there with sympathy and steadiness. She shepherded him through the worst of it, stitching together his confidence and steering his focus back to Calder Tech. "You deserve someone who sees your worth," she'd told him. "Someone who won't run when things get real." Slowly, Ethan let Vanessa become more than a colleague. She was Amina's opposite in every way: polished where Amina was sincere, calculating where Amina was impulsive, cool where Amina was warm. But she was present, and Amina was gone. Ethan convinced himself maybe Vanessa was right. Maybe he needed someone fluid in his world. For 8 years he buried his love for Amina and tried to build a life with Vanessa. It never fit. Each anniversary, every holiday, the quiet in-between moments, his mind drifted to Amina, to the mystery of what had broken. Now he knew. Vanessa had shown Amina those fabricated photos, convincing the woman he loved that he'd betrayed her. Amina, 24, pregnant with his child, had believed what she saw. Of course she fled. Ethan would have too. But Amina had been carrying his daughter. For 8 years, Lila grew up without her father because of Vanessa's lies. A rage rose in him unlike anything he'd felt. Vanessa had stolen 8 years of his life, 8 years of Amina's, 8 years of Lila's childhood. Worse, she'd taken the family he and Amina had dreamed of, the happiness they should have shared, the memories they never got to make. Ethan picked up his phone and called Mrs. Whitaker. "I need an immediate investigation into Vanessa Price financials, employment history, everything. And I need contact information for Dr. Layla Khan. She should know where Amina is." As he waited for the call to connect, Ethan looked out at the city and made a silent promise to Amina and Lila. He would make up for every lost day, every missed birthday, every bedtime story he should have read. Vanessa Price had had 8 years to build her lies. But Ethan would spend the rest of his life building something real with the family he should have had all along. This time, nothing would tear them apart. Dr. Leela Khan looked up from her charts as Ethan, Carmen, and Lila approached the nurses' station at Riverview Medical Center. The doctor was a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and graying hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. "Dr. Leela Khan, I'm Ethan Calder. I believe you're treating Amina Green." Dr. Leela's eyebrows rose in surprise. "Mr. Calder? Amina mentioned your name. You're Leela's father." Lila stepped forward, still wearing her bright red dress, but now holding Ethan's hand. "Is my mama going to be okay, Dr. Leela Khan?" The doctor knelt down to Lila's level. "Your mama is much better today, sweetheart. The medicine is helping her feel stronger." Ethan felt his heart start beating again. "Better?" The letter made it sound like she was dying. Dr. Leela Khan stood up and gestured for them to move away from Lila's hearing. Amina was very sick when she first came in 3 weeks ago. Severe pneumonia complicated by malnutrition and exhaustion. She'd been working 3 jobs to support Lila and had been ignoring her own health for months. 3 jobs. Ethan's voice was tight with emotion. Cleaning offices at night, working at a diner during the day, and doing bookkeeping from home in between. She collapsed at the diner and was brought here unconscious. Ethan closed his eyes, imagining Amina working herself to death while he lived in luxury, never knowing she needed help. But she's responding well to treatment now, Dr. Leela continued. With proper nutrition and rest, she should make a full recovery. The main issue now is the medical bills. Her insurance is minimal, and she's already talked about discharging herself early because she can't afford the extended care. She won't be discharging herself, Ethan said firmly. Whatever she needs, whatever it costs, I'll take care of everything. Dr. Leela studied his face. Amina said you were a good man. She also said she hadn't seen you in 8 years and wasn't sure you'd want to be involved. Leela tugged on Ethan's sleeve. Can I see Mama now? I want to tell her you're really my daddy. Ethan looked down at his daughter and felt his heart expand in his chest. Let's go see Mama. They followed Dr. Leela down a long corridor lined with rooms. Ethan's steps slowed as they approached room 512. Through the small window, he could see Amina sitting up in bed, wearing a hospital gown in that same beautiful green color that had always been perfect on her. She was thinner than he remembered, and there were dark circles under her eyes, but she was still the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. Her dark skin had lost some of its glow, but her smile as she watched something on the television was exactly the same. Mama. Lila pushed open the door and ran to the bed. Amina's face lit up with pure joy as she gathered her daughter into her arms. Leela, how did it go, baby? Did you find Mr. Ethan? Mama, guess what? He really is my daddy and he wants to take care of us. Amina looked up and saw Ethan standing in the doorway. For a moment, time stopped completely. 8 years disappeared, and they were just Ethan and Amina looking at each other with all the love they had tried so hard to forget. Hello, Amina, Ethan said softly. Ethan, her voice was barely a whisper. He stepped into the room, his eyes never leaving her face. I got your letter. Enwa's eyes filled with tears.
I didn't know if you would want to see us. I thought maybe you were happy with your life now. Happy? Ethan moved closer to the bed. Amina, I haven't been happy since the day you left. Not really happy. Leela looked between her parents with wide eyes. Are you crying, Mama? These are good tears, baby. Sometimes grown-ups cry when they're very happy. Ethan reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out something wrapped in tissue paper. I kept this, he said, unwrapping Amina's engagement ring. I kept it in my desk drawer for 8 years, hoping someday I would see you again. Amina stared at the emerald ring, her hand trembling as she reached for it. Ethan, I'm so sorry. Vanessa showed me those photos and I believed her. I was young and scared and stupid. You weren't stupid. You were young and pregnant and faced with what looked like proof that the man you loved was betraying you. Ethan sat on the edge of the hospital bed. Vanessa fooled both of us. You know about the photos? I know about everything. The lies, the manipulation, all of it. Ethan's voice grew fierce. She stole 8 years from us, Amina. 8 years of our life together. 8 years of me being Lila's father. Amina looked at Leela, who was snuggled against her side, listening to every word. I wanted to tell you about her so many times. But when I saw your engagement announcement in the newspaper, I was never engaged to Vanessa. Not really. I was just trying to fill the hole you left behind. Dr. Lila cleared her throat from the doorway. I hate to interrupt, but Amina needs her rest. You can visit again tomorrow. Actually, Ethan said, standing up. I'd like to arrange for Amina to be transferred to a private room with the best specialists available. Money is no object. Amina started to protest. Ethan, I can't let you pay for Amina, Ethan said gently, taking her hand. We lost 8 years because of pride and misunderstandings. Please don't let pride cost us any more time together. Let me take care of you and Leela. Let me be the man I should have been 8 years ago." Amina looked into his eyes and saw the same love that had first captured her heart all those years ago. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." Ethan smiled and slid the engagement ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly, just like before. "Daddy," Leela said, trying the word out. "Does this mean we're going to be a family?" Ethan looked from his daughter to the woman he'd never stopped loving. "Yes, sweetheart. We're going to be a family." They left the hospital that evening, and Ethan felt weightless. Amina was alive, she would recover, and they had a beautiful daughter together. After 8 years of hollow days, everything suddenly felt whole. But in the parking garage, Carmen touched his arm. "Mr. Calder, we need to discuss Vanessa. She won't let this go easily." Ethan's expression hardened. Vanessa had already taken 8 years. He wouldn't let her steal a single day more. Then we prepare for whatever she tries next. The next morning, chaos greeted him at the office. Vanessa had been busy overnight. His assistant, Mrs. Whitaker, looked strained as she handed over a stack of messages. "Mr. Calder, Miss Price has been calling board members since 6. She set an emergency meeting for this afternoon." Ethan scanned the notes. 3 board members, 2 major investors, and a reporter from the Business Journal had all reached out before 8. "What is she telling them?" "I don't have specifics, but Mark Ellison phoned personally. He said you should call him immediately before it escalates." Ethan dialed. Mark, his closest friend since college, and Calder Tech's coup picked up at once. "Ethan, thank God. What on earth is happening?" "Vanessa is spreading lies about me." "What did she say?" "She called at dawn saying you're having some kind of breakdown. That a woman from your past showed up with a child demanding money. She claims you're so emotionally compromised, you're making risky financial commitments without board sign-off." Ethan's jaw tightened. "And you believed her?" "I don't know what to believe. You vanished yesterday with no explanation. She says you're planning to liquidate company assets to cover medical bills for people who aren't even family." "Mark," Ethan said, voice flat, "the child is my daughter. Amina didn't leave me 8 years ago by choice. Vanessa manipulated her into thinking I was cheating." Silence stretched across the phone line. "Your daughter?" Mark's voice was stunned. "Ethan, are you sure?" "I'm certain. And I need you to help me prove what Vanessa did." "What do you need?" "Meet me in my office in 20 minutes and bring Carmen Delgado with you." When Mark and Carmen arrived, Ethan had already pulled Vanessa's employment file and was reviewing her background check from 8 years ago. "Look at this," Ethan said, spreading documents across his desk. "Vanessa Price, marketing graduate from NYU. Excellent references, no red flags." Carmen studied the papers. "Mr. Calder, with your permission, I'd like to dig deeper into her past. Sometimes people are very good at hiding things." "Do it. I want to know everything about Vanessa Price from the day she was born." Mark looked uncomfortable. "Ethan, even if Vanessa did manipulate Amina 8 years ago, that doesn't necessarily mean." "Mark, Vanessa threatened Amina and Lila yesterday. She told me I would regret choosing them over her. She threatened a child. Not directly, but the implication was clear." Carmen was already on her laptop, her fingers flying across the keyboard. "Mr. Calder, I'm running a comprehensive background check now. Financial records, employment history, social media, everything." While Carmen worked, Ethan told Mark everything about Lila's visit, Amina's letter, and his trip to the hospital. "I can't believe Amina has been struggling all these years while I lived in luxury." Ethan said, 3 jobs, Mark. She was working 3 jobs and still couldn't afford proper medical care. If Vanessa really did what you think she did, she's going to pay for it, Mark said grimly. Carmen looked up from her computer, her expression grim. "Mr. Calder, I found something. Vanessa's financial records show some interesting patterns 8 years ago." "What kind of patterns?" Large cash deposits that don't match her salary. $5,000 deposited the day after Amina left. Another $3,000 a week later. Ethan felt cold dread settle in his stomach. Someone paid her. It gets worse. I found the photographer she used to create those fake photos. His business records show a payment from V-Price for professional photo editing services dated the same week Amina disappeared. The evidence was damning, but Ethan needed more. Can you prove the photos were fabricated? Already working on it. I've contacted the photographer. He's agreed to provide testimony about what Vanessa paid him to create. Mark was staring at the financial records. Ethan, these cash deposits, they're too large to be gifts or side income. Someone with serious money was paying Vanessa to break you and Amina up, but who would want to do that? Carmen's phone buzzed with a text message. She read it and looked up with a strange expression. Mr. Calder, I just got a message from our security team downstairs. There's a woman in the lobby claiming to be Leela's grandmother. She says Amina isn't Leela's real mother. Ethan felt the world tilt around him. What? She has legal documents claiming custody of Lila, and she's with a lawyer. That's impossible. Amina is Layla's mother. Sir, the woman says her name is Patricia Blake. Ethan's blood turned to ice. Blake has in Vanessa Price. She claims to be Vanessa's aunt. The pieces fell into place with horrible clarity. Vanessa hadn't just manipulated Amina 8 years ago. She had been planning something much bigger, something that involved her family and legal documents. Get Leela and Amina on the phone immediately, Ethan ordered. And call our lawyers. If Vanessa thinks she can steal my daughter after keeping her from me for 8 years, she's about to learn exactly what kind of man she's dealing with. Mark was already dialing the company's legal team. Ethan, if they have legitimate custody documents. They don't. They can't, but that won't stop them from trying to take Layla away while they fabricate whatever evidence they need. Carmen was typing furiously on her laptop. Mr. Calder, I'm pulling everything I can find on Evelyn Blake. If she's involved in this scheme, I'll find proof. Ethan's phone rang. The caller ID showed the hospital's main number. Mr. Calder, it was Dr. Leela Hahn, and her voice was tense. We have a problem. 2 women just arrived claiming to be Leela's family. They have legal papers, and they're demanding we release Lila to their custody. Don't let them near my daughter. I'm on my way. As Ethan grabbed his jacket, he realized that Vanessa's games were far from over. She had had all night to plan her next move, and she was playing for keeps. But Ethan Calder hadn't built a billion-dollar company by backing down from fights. And he had never had more reason to fight than he did right now. His family was under attack, and he would do whatever it took to protect them. Ethan raced through the hospital corridors with Mark and Carmen close behind him. Dr. Lila Hahn met them at the elevator, her face tight with concern. They're still in the lobby, she said. Riverview Medical Center security is with them, but they're demanding immediate access to Lila. The documents look official. Where are Amina and Leela now? Safe in Amina's room. I've stationed extra security there and told them not to let anyone in without your approval. When they reached the lobby, Ethan saw 2 women arguing loudly with hospital security. The older woman appeared to be in her 60s, wearing an expensive navy suit and carrying herself with the kind of authority that came from money and privilege. The younger woman was clearly a lawyer, her briefcase open and documents spread across the reception desk. I'm Evelyn Blake, the older woman was saying in a voice that broke no argument. That child has been living in poverty with a woman who kidnapped her from our family. We have legal custody. Ethan stepped forward. I'm Ethan Calder, Leela's father. What exactly do you think you're doing? Evelyn Blake looked him up and down with obvious disdain. Mr. Calder, I'm Vanessa's aunt. Lila is my granddaughter, and she belongs with family who can properly care for her. Leela is my daughter, and she belongs with her parents. The lawyer, a sharp-faced woman in her 40s, opened her briefcase. Mr. Calder, these documents clearly establish Mrs. Blake's custody rights. The child was abandoned with Amina Green, who has no legal claim to her. Ethan's anger was building, but he kept his voice calm.
Amina Green is Layla's mother. I have the birth certificate to prove it. A birth certificate that lists father unknown. The lawyer replied smoothly. There's no proof you're the biological father. Then we'll do a DNA test right now. Evelyn Blake sniffed, dismissively. Convenient. A rich man suddenly claims paternity when it's beneficial to him. Carmen stepped forward, her security badge clearly visible. Mrs. Blake, can you explain these financial records showing payments to your niece Vanessa 8 years ago? Payments that coincide exactly with Amina Green's departure from the city? The lawyer's eyes sharpened. Those records are irrelevant to this custody matter. Actually, Mark said, pulling out his phone. They're very relevant. I just spoke with our legal team. Any custody documents obtained through fraud are invalid. Ethan looked at Evelyn Blake and saw something familiar in her cold, calculating expression. She had the same look Vanessa got when her plans were falling apart. Dr. Lila Hahn, Ethan said, I'd like to see Lila and Amina now. These ladies can wait here while we sort out their false documents. You can't keep us from our family, Evelyn Blake snapped. Watch me. As they walked toward the elevator, Carmen leaned close to Ethan. Mr. Calder, I found something else. Evelyn Blake has been arrested twice for fraud in the past 10 years. Both cases were settled out of court with sealed records, and Vanessa would have access to her aunt's legal contacts. Exactly. This whole custody claim is probably fabricated. They found Amina sitting up in her bed wearing a bright green hospital gown that made her skin glow with returning health. Lila was curled up beside her reading a children's book out loud. Both of them looked up anxiously when Ethan entered. Daddy. Layla scrambled off the bed and ran to Ethan. Mama said some mean ladies want to take me away. Ethan picked up his daughter, holding her tight. That's not going to happen, sweetheart. I promise. Amina's eyes were wide with fear. Ethan, they said I kidnapped Leela. They said I'm not her real mother. Amina, look at me. Ethan sat on the edge of her bed still holding Lila. You are Lila's mother. I'm her father. We're her family. And no one is going to change that. But the papers they showed the nurses looked so official, Amina whispered. Mark stepped in. Amina, I'm Mark Ellison, Ethan's business partner. Our lawyers are already proving those documents are fake. Vanessa and her aunt are trying to scare you. Lila peered up at Ethan, worry clouding her eyes. Daddy, why do those ladies want to hurt us? Ethan's heart splintered at his daughter's fear. How could Vanessa drag a 7-year-old into her schemes? Sometimes, sweetheart, when people are unhappy with their own lives, they try to hurt people who are happy. But we're not going to let them hurt our family. Are you going to marry Mama? The innocent question blindsided him. He glanced at Amina, her cheeks blooming a soft pink. Layla, Amina said gently, Daddy and I need to talk about grown-up things first. But you love each other, right? I can tell by how you look at each other. Ethan couldn't help the smile. His daughter was startlingly perceptive. Yes, he said, meeting Amina's eyes. I love your mama very much. I never stopped. Tears brightened Amina's gaze. I never stopped loving you either. Then you should get married, Layla declared matter-of-factly. That's what people do when they love each other. A knock sounded. Dr. Lila Hahn stepped in. Mr. Calder, your lawyers are here, and they've brought some interesting information about those custody documents. Ethan's legal team, 3 of the city's best, filed in. The lead, Daniel Pierce, looked grimly satisfied. Mr. Calder, the custody papers are complete fabrications. Evelyn Blake has no legal ties to Lila, and her criminal history would make her unfit regardless. And Vanessa's role? Ethan asked. We're preparing charges, harassment, fraud, conspiracy, Daniel said. The evidence Ms. Delgado gathered about the fake photos 8 years ago, combined with today's custody stunt, should be enough to ensure Vanessa Price never interferes again. Amina threaded her fingers to Ethan's. Is it really over? Not quite, Daniel replied. We need to file for emergency custody to protect Lila while we build the criminal case. Mr. Calder, are you prepared to be listed as Lila's legal father? Ethan looked at his daughter, who was watching him with complete trust and love. More than prepared. I want to adopt Lila officially and give her my last name. Daddy, Lila said. Does that mean I'll be Lila Calder? If you want to be. Lila clapped her hands together. Lila Calder sounds perfect. Amina squeezed Ethan's hand. Ethan, are you sure about all this? Taking out a ready-made family, dealing with Vanessa's attacks.
Ethan leaned down and kissed her forehead. Amina, 8 years ago, I asked you to marry me because I wanted to spend my life with you. Having Lila just makes that dream even more perfect. So you'll really marry Mama? Lila asked hopefully. Ethan looked at Amina, who was glowing with happiness despite everything they had faced. If she have me. Amina's smile was brighter than sunshine. Always, Ethan. Always. As his family embraced him, Ethan realized that Vanessa's schemes had actually given him something unexpected. They had forced him to confront his past, to fight for his future, and to prove how much his family meant to him. Whatever Vanessa tried next, they would face it together. The confrontation Ethan had been dreading came 2 days later. He was in Amina's hospital room watching Lila color pictures at the bedside table when Vanessa Price walked through the door without permission. She wore a stark black business suit that made her look like she was attending a funeral. Her blonde hair was pulled back severely and her makeup was perfect. But Ethan could see the desperation in her eyes. Vanessa, Ethan said, standing immediately. You're not welcome here. 8 years, Ethan. 8 years of my life. Her voice was controlled but trembling with emotion. You're going to throw that away for this fantasy. Amina pulled Lila closer, her protective instincts fully activated. Layla, sweetheart, why don't you go find Dr. Leelahan and ask her about the ice cream she promised you? I want to stay with you and Daddy. It's okay, baby. We'll be right here when you get back. After Leela left, Vanessa stepped further into the room. Amina Green, you haven't changed much. Hello, Vanessa. Amina's voice was steady, but Ethan could feel her tension. I suppose you think you've won some great victory here. Swooping back into Ethan's life with your sob story and your convenient child. Ethan's jaw clenched. Vanessa, I know what you did 8 years ago. The fake photographs, the lies, the money you took to break us up. Vanessa's mask slipped for just a moment, revealing genuine surprise. I don't know what you're talking about. We have the photographer's testimony. We have your financial records. We know everything. Prove it. Mark Ellison chose that moment to enter, carrying a folder thick with documents. Actually, Vanessa, we can prove it. All of it. He opened the folder and spread photographs across Amina's bedside table. The fake photos Vanessa had used 8 years ago alongside documentation showing how they had been digitally manipulated. These are the photos you showed Amina, Mark continued. Our computer forensics team analyzed them. They were created by combining Ethan's image with photos of you from a completely different time and place. Vanessa's composure began to crack. Those could be fabricated now. Along with the photographer's signed confession and your Aunt Evelyn's criminal record and the bank records showing payments you received for breaking up Ethan and Amina. Ethan watched Vanessa's face as the weight of the evidence settled on her. Who paid you, Vanessa? Who wanted Amina and me apart so badly that they hired you to destroy our relationship? For a moment, Vanessa looked like she might confess everything. Then her expression hardened into familiar calculating coldness. You really want to know the truth, Ethan? Fine, I'll tell you the truth. She turned to Amina with undisguised hatred. I saved Ethan from making the biggest mistake of his life. You were a secretary, Amina. A poor little foster kid with nothing to offer a man like Ethan except a pretty face. Vanessa, Ethan warned. No, let me finish. You want the truth? The truth is that Ethan was never going to be happy with someone like you. You didn't understand his world, his responsibilities, his potential. You would have held him back from everything he's accomplished. Amina's voice was quiet but strong. And what has he accomplished with you, Vanessa? Has he been happy? He built a billion-dollar empire. Has he been happy? Amina repeated. Vanessa's silence was answer enough. Ethan stepped between the two women. The only mistake I made was spending 8 years with you instead of finding Amina and Leela. You didn't save me from anything. Vanessa, you stole the best part of my life. And now what? You're going to play house with Amina and her daughter. What happens when the novelty wears off? When you remember why ambitious men don't marry their secretaries. Leela is my daughter, Vanessa. She's not Amina's daughter from someone else. She's mine. The words hit Vanessa like a physical blow. For the first time since Ethan had known her, she looked completely stunned. That's impossible. DNA test confirmed it yesterday. Leela is my biological daughter, conceived before Amina left 8 years ago. Vanessa sank into a chair, the full implications finally hitting her. You had a child with her. We had a child together. A daughter who spent 7 years without her father because of your lies. I didn't know she was pregnant. Would it have mattered if you had? Vanessa's silence told Ethan everything. Amina spoke for the first time in minutes. Why did you hate me so much, Vanessa? I never did anything to hurt you. You had everything I wanted, Vanessa said, bitter. Ethan loved you in a way he never loved me. In 8 years, he never looked at me the way he looked at you in your first week. So you destroyed our lives out of jealousy. I gave him a better life. Look at what he's achieved, Amina, the success, the respect, the empire. Would he have done any of it if he'd been playing house with you and a baby? Rage flared in Ethan, softened now by something heavier pity. Vanessa, I would trade every dollar, every award, every bit of it for one day of the life I should have had with Amina and Leela. You didn't give me a better life. You gave me an empty one. Carmen Delgado appeared in the doorway. Mr. Calder, the police are here. Are you ready to file charges? Vanessa's composure finally shattered. Ethan, please. We can fix this. I made mistakes, but we can move past them. The only thing we're moving past is us. It's over, Vanessa. It ended the moment Lila walked into my office. You can't do this to me. I gave you everything. You gave me lies. And now you're going to face the consequences. As officers stepped in to arrest her for fraud and conspiracy, she made one last plea. Ethan, I love you. I always have. Everything I did was because I love you. He looked at her with sorrow instead of fury. Vanessa, you don't know what love is. Love doesn't destroy. Love doesn't manipulate. Love doesn't steal a child from her father. When they led her away, Ethan felt a weight lift he hadn't realized he'd been carrying. 8 years of falsehood were finally ending. Amina squeezed his hand. Is it really finished? It's finished. Vanessa will face charges, and her Aunt Evelyn's already been arrested for the custody fraud. They can't hurt our family anymore. Lila bounded back in, clutching her ice cream. Where did the mean lady go? She's gone, sweetheart. And she's not coming back. Lila climbed onto the hospital bed beside Amina. Good, I didn't like her. She made Mama cry. Ethan settled on the other side, his arm around Amina's shoulders. For the first time in 8 years, he felt completely at peace. Daddy, Leela said, now that the mean lady is gone, can we be a real family? Ethan looked at Amina, who was smiling through tears of relief and joy. We already are a real family, Layla. We always were. 1 week later, Amina was released from the hospital with a clean bill of health. Ethan had arranged for her and Leela to stay in his penthouse while they figured out their future together. But first, there was somewhere important he wanted to take them. "Where are we going, Daddy?" Layla asked from the backseat of Ethan's car. She wore a bright blue dress that Ethan had bought for her, and she was practically bouncing with excitement. "It's a surprise," Ethan said, glancing in the rearview mirror at his daughter's eager face. Amina, sitting beside him in a beautiful green dress that reminded him of the day they met, reached over and squeezed his hand. "Ethan, you've already done so much for us. The medical bills, the clothes, letting us stay with you. Amina, you and Leela are my family. I want to do these things, but the penthouse is so fancy. Leela is going to break something expensive." Ethan laughed. "Then we'll buy something new. Amina, I want you both to be comfortable in my home. Our home." They drove through Central Park, past the lake where Ethan had proposed 8 years ago. Lila pressed her face to the window, watching the joggers and families enjoying the sunny afternoon. "The park is so pretty," she said. "Can we have a picnic here sometime?" "Anytime you want, sweetheart." Ethan pulled into the parking area near the children's playground. Layla gasped with delight when she saw the swings and slides. "Is this the surprise? Can I play?" "Of course you can play. But first, there's something I want to show you and Mama." He led them to a bench overlooking the lake. The same bench where he had proposed to Amina. The afternoon sun sparkled on the water and families with children played nearby. "This is where I asked your Mama to marry me," Ethan told Lila. Lila looked between her parents with wide eyes. "Really? What did Mama say?" "She said yes," Amina said softly, her eyes bright with unshed tears. "And then what happened?" Ethan and Amina exchanged glances. How do you explain to a 7-year-old that their love story was interrupted by lies and manipulation? Sometimes, Ethan said carefully, grown-ups make mistakes. Mama and I got separated for a while, but we never stopped loving each other. And now you're back together forever. Forever? Ethan confirmed. Leela clapped her hands. This is the best surprise ever. Actually, Ethan said, pulling a small velvet box from his jacket pocket. This is the surprise. Amina's breath caught as she recognized the ring box. Ethan, what are you doing? Ethan got down on one knee beside the bench, just as he had 8 years ago. Lila squealed with excitement, drawing the attention of other families nearby. Amina Green, Ethan said, his voice strong and clear. 8 years ago, I asked you to marry me in this exact spot. I'm asking again. Will you be my wife? Will you let me be Leela's father? Will you let me spend the rest of my life making up for the time we lost? Amina was crying now, happy tears that sparkled in the sunlight. Yes, Ethan. Yes to everything. Ethan slipped the emerald ring onto her finger for the second time. And this time, he knew nothing would ever take it away again. Leela threw herself into their embrace. Are we really going to be a family now? We already are a family, Amina said, kissing her daughter's forehead. Now we're just making it official. Can I be in the wedding? Ethan laughed. Lila, you're going to be the most important person in the wedding. More important than the bride and groom. Well, maybe not more important, but just as important. As they sat on the bench watching the sun set over the lake, Ethan felt a sense of completeness he hadn't experienced in 8 years. Amina was warm and solid beside him. Layla was chattering excitedly about wedding plans, and the ring was finally back where it belonged. Ethan, Amina said quietly, I need to tell you something. What is it? I'm scared. Not about marrying you, but about everything else. Your world, your lifestyle, the media attention. When they find out about us. Ethan turned to face her fully. Amina, what are you afraid of specifically? I'm afraid I won't fit in. I'm afraid people will think I'm just after your money. I'm afraid Leela will be overwhelmed by all the changes. Look at me, Ethan said, taking her hands in his. I fell in love with you when you were a secretary, and I was nobody special. I love you for who you are, not for how you fit into my world. And anyone who has a problem with that can find somewhere else to be. But what about Lila? She's used to a simple life. She's never had money or fancy things. Leela looked up from where she had been chasing a butterfly. Mama, are you worried about me? A little baby. Daddy's life is very different from ours. Layla came back to the bench and climbed onto Ethan's lap. Daddy, will you still love me if I break something in your fancy house? Lila, I will love you no matter what you do. You could break everything I own, and I would just be happy you're there to break it. See, Mama, Daddy loves us no matter what. Amina smiled through her tears. When did you get so wise? I learned it from you. Lila said it with conviction. You always told me the people who truly love you won't care if you mess up. Ethan's chest swelled pride in his daughter's wisdom and in Amina's mothering. Amina, he said, we'll take this slow. If Lila wants to stay in public school, she can. If you want to launch your event planning business, we'll make it happen. This is about us being together, not changing who you are. I can really start my business. Amina, I've waited 8 years to help you chase your dreams. Your company is going to be the most successful event planning firm in the city. On the drive back to Ethan's penthouse, Lila dozed off in the rear seat, worn out by all the excitement. Amina laced her fingers with Ethan's as the quiet city slid past. I love you, she murmured. I love you to both of you more than I ever thought I could. Ethan, I want to do this right. The wedding, I want Leela to remember it forever. Then we'll plan the most beautiful wedding in the world. And Lila will be our flower girl. What if she's too nervous? Amina, look at our daughter. Does she seem like the type to shy away from the spotlight? Amina laughed, glancing back at Leela's peaceful sleeping face. You're right. She'd probably steal the show. I hope she does. They pulled into the building's garage, Amina's stomach fluttering with nerves and joy. Tomorrow they would start mapping their new life. Tonight, for the first time in Lila's life, they would fall asleep under the same roof as a family. Ready? Ethan asked, gently rousing Lila. Ready, Amina echoed, and for the first time in 8 years, she meant it. 3 months later, Amina stood in the Astoria Grand Hotel's bridal suite. Swathed in flowing white silk, her long-held dreams finally within reach. Her gown was elegant without ostentation, its delicate beading catching light as she moved. She'd chosen it because Ethan once told her she looked like an angel in white. Mama, you look like a princess, Lila breathed, spinning in her flower girl dress. The bright red gown, her favorite, made her glow. Dr. Lila Han, now as close as family, adjusted the flower crown in Lila's hair. You both look absolutely beautiful. Amina smiled at her reflection, though her hands trembled just a little. What if I trip walking down the aisle? What if I forget my vows? Mama, Leela said seriously, Daddy loves you so much he wouldn't care if you walked down the aisle backwards in your pajamas. Amina laughed despite her nerves. How did you get so smart? I learned from the best mama in the world. A soft knock interrupted them. Amina, it's Carmen. Can I come in? Carmen Delgado had become Amina's closest friend over the past months, helping her navigate the complicated world of being engaged to one of the city's most prominent businessmen. The photographer wants a few shots of you and Lila before the ceremony, Carmen said, but she paused when she saw Amina's expression. Hey, are you okay? Just nervous. This is really happening. Cold feet. No, the opposite. I'm worried something will go wrong and ruin it. Carmen sat beside Amina on the elegant sofa. Amina, do you know what Ethan was doing at 6 o'clock this morning? Sleeping, I hope. Calling the florist to make sure your favorite flowers were perfect. At 7 o'clock, He was checking on the cake to make sure the bakery got Lila's special request for pink frosting roses. At 8, he was reviewing the seating chart for the 4th time to make sure your former foster parents had the best view. Amina's eyes filled with tears.
He invited the Hendersons. They're in the front row crying with pride. They said, "You look exactly like the happy ending they always hoped you'd find." "Lila," Amina called. "Come here, sweetheart." Lila bounced over, her flower crown slightly askew, but her smile radiant. "Are you ready to walk down the aisle and give Daddy the biggest surprise of his life?" "What surprise?" Amina pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was a simple gold band sized perfectly for Lila's small finger. "Daddy is adopting you today. After the wedding ceremony, the judge is going to make it official. This ring shows that you're choosing to be a Calder family forever." Lila's eyes went wide. "Really? I get to be Lila Calder for real? For real and forever?" Lila threw her arms around Amina. "This is the best day ever." 20 minutes later, Amina stood at the back of the Imperial Ballroom, her arm linked with Mark Ellison's. Ethan had asked Mark to walk her down the aisle, and Amina had been touched by the gesture. "You ready for this?" Mark asked quietly. "I've been ready for 8 years." The music began, and Lila started her walk down the aisle, scattering rose petals with dramatic flair. She was clearly enjoying being the center of attention, and guests were charming as she stopped to wave at people she recognized. Then Amina saw Ethan at the altar, and everything else faded away. He wore a midnight blue tuxedo that made his eyes seem even brighter than usual. But it was his expression that took Amina's breath away. He was looking at her like she was the answer to every prayer he had ever whispered, like she was the miracle he had stopped believing in. Halfway down the aisle, Amina felt her composure begin to slip. 8 years of separation, 3 months of rebuilding their relationship, and now this moment when everything would finally be right again. Ethan saw her tears and stepped forward, meeting her 3/4 of the way down the aisle. It wasn't traditional, but Ethan had never cared much about tradition when it came to Amina. "Hey," he said softly, taking her hands in his. "No crying, you'll ruin your makeup. These are happy tears. I know. I love your happy tears." Together, they walked the final steps to the altar where Lila was waiting with the rings and the biggest smile Amina had ever seen. "Dearly beloved," the minister began, "we are gathered here today to witness the union of Ethan and Amina, and to celebrate a love that has endured separation, overcome obstacles, and brought together a beautiful family." Amina barely heard the traditional words. She was focused entirely on Ethan's face, on the love and promise she saw there, on the knowledge that this time nothing would tear them apart. "Ethan," the minister said, "do you take Amina to be your wife to love and cherish in sickness and health, for richer and poorer, for better and worse, as long as you both shall live?" "I do," Ethan said, his voice strong and sure. "I always have and I always will." "Amina, do you take Ethan to be your husband to love and cherish in sickness and health, for richer and poorer, for better and worse, as long as you both shall live?" "I do," Amina whispered, then louder. "I do." Lila stepped forward with the rings, performing her duties with the seriousness of someone handling crown jewels. "With this ring," Ethan said, slipping the wedding band beside Amina's engagement ring, "I promise to love you every day for the rest of my life." "With this ring," Amina said, her voice steady now, "I promise to love you through everything life brings us for the rest of my life. By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Ethan, you may kiss your bride." Ethan took Amina's face in his hands and kissed her with 8 years of longing and a lifetime of love. The guests erupted in applause, but Amina only heard the sound of her own heartbeat and Lila's excited squealing. "And now," the minister said with a smile, "we have one more very special ceremony." Judge Elaine Porter stepped forward and Lila's adoption ceremony began. It was simple but profound, the legal recognition of what everyone already knew. Lila belonged with Ethan and Amina, and they belonged together as a family. "Leila," Judge Elaine Porter said, "do you want Ethan Calder to be your daddy forever?" "Yes, please," Lila answered, drawing a ripple of laughter from the guests. "Ethan, do you accept all the responsibilities and joys of being Lila's father?" "With all my heart," Ethan said, kneeling to slip a ring on Lila's finger. "Then, by the power vested in me, I declare that Leila Brooks is now legally Leila Calder, daughter of Ethan and Amina Calder." Leila flew into Ethan's arms. Amina folded into them both, and for the first time in 8 years, everything was exactly as it should be.
As they walked back up the aisle together, Amina spotted Vanessa Price seated alone in the last row. Out on bail pending trial, she'd been allowed to attend at Amina's insistence, not as a kindness, but so Vanessa could witness what real love looked like. Vanessa's face was carved with regret, and for a heartbeat, Amina felt a flicker of pity. Vanessa had possessed everything she thought she wanted, and never the one thing that mattered. Then Ethan squeezed Amina's hand. Leila laughed at something Mark said, and Vanessa slipped from Amina's mind. This was her life now. This was her family, and nothing would tear them apart again. 6 months after the wedding, Amina stood in Calder Tech's main conference room, presenting her business plan to Ethan's board. She wore a sharp emerald suit Ethan had gifted her for luck, and the confidence she'd honed in recent months shone through. "Green Calder Events has secured 12 major corporate contracts this quarter," she said, advancing the slide. "Our profit margins exceed industry standards, and client satisfaction is at 98%. From the back of the room, Ethan watched, pride aching in his chest. Amina had built her event firm from nothing into one of the city's most in-demand companies, brilliant, tireless, fully in her element. "Mrs. Calder," board member Grace Holloway said, "your results are impressive, but we're concerned about potential conflicts of interest given your relationship to our CEO." Amina's smile held steady, professional and serene. "Ms. Holloway, Green Calder Events operates independently of Calder Tech. We maintain our own offices, our own client base, and our own profit structure." Ethan recused himself from any board decisions regarding our contract with Calder Tech. "And if someone suggests you only succeed because of your marriage, then I'd point them to our client testimonials, our financial records, and our industry awards. Success speaks for itself." The board members exchanged approving glances. Amina had won them over completely. After the meeting, Ethan walked Amina to her car in the parking garage. "I'm so proud of you," he said, pulling her into his arms. "You were magnificent in there. I was terrified. You didn't show it. You looked like you belonged in that boardroom." Amina laughed. "That's because I do belong there. It just took me a while to believe it." They were interrupted by the sound of running footsteps. Leila came racing across the parking garage, still wearing her school uniform, but with her backpack flying behind her. "Mama, Daddy, guess what happened at school today?" "What happened, sweetheart?" Amina asked, kneeling down to catch her daughter. "Ms. Alvarez asked me to read my essay about families to the whole class, and everyone clapped. And Leo Martinez said, 'I have the best parents ever.'" Ethan felt that familiar warmth in his chest that came whenever Lila talked about their family. "What did you write about?" "I wrote about how sometimes families get lost and then find each other again, and how love is stronger than anything that tries to break it apart." Amina's eyes filled with tears. "Leila, that's beautiful. Can we go get ice cream to celebrate?" "Celebrate what?" Ethan asked. "Mama's business meeting and me reading my essay and us being the happiest family in the world." As they drove to Leila's favorite ice cream shop, Ethan reflected on how much their lives had changed in less than a year. Amina's business was thriving. Leila was excelling in her new private school, and Ethan had never been happier, both personally and professionally. "Ethan," Amina said quietly while Lila was deciding between chocolate and strawberry ice cream, "I have something to tell you." "What's that?" "Dr. Leela Han called with my test results today." Ethan felt a momentary flash of concern. "Is everything okay?" Amina's smile was radiant. "Everything is perfect. We're going to have a baby." Ethan stared at her for a moment, processing the words. "A baby? Really? Really?" Ethan swept Amina into his arms, spinning her around the ice cream shop while other customers stared and smiled. "Daddy, what's wrong?" Leela asked, running over with her ice cream cone. "Nothing's wrong, sweetheart. Something wonderful is happening. You're going to be a big sister." Lila's eyes went wide. "Really? I'm getting a baby brother or sister." "In about 7 months," Amina said. Leela squealed with excitement, nearly dropping her ice cream. "This is the best day ever. Can I help name the baby? Can I teach it how to read? Will it sleep in my room?" "Slow down," Ethan laughed. "We have plenty of time to figure all that out." That night, after Lila had finally fallen asleep from exhaustion and excitement, Ethan and Amina sat on the balcony of their penthouse, looking out over the city lights. "Are you happy about the baby?" Amina asked, curled up against Ethan's side. "Happy doesn't begin to cover it, Amina. A year ago, I thought my life was complete as it was. Now I can't imagine how I ever thought that was enough. Do you think Leela will really be okay with sharing our attention?" "Are you kidding? She's going to be the world's most devoted big sister. She'd probably try to do the baby's homework for it." Amina laughed. "You're probably right." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the city sparkle below them. "Ethan," Amina said eventually, "do you ever think about Vanessa? About what she's doing now?" Ethan considered the question. Vanessa had been sentenced to 2 years in prison for fraud and conspiracy. Her Aunt Evelyn had received a similar sentence. The trials had been difficult, but they had also provided closure. Sometimes, he said honestly, "Mostly I feel sorry for her. She had so much, but she was never able to appreciate it because she was always scheming for more." "Do you think she'll ever find happiness?" "I hope so, but she have to learn what love really means first." "And what does love really mean?" Ethan pulled Amina closer. "Love means putting someone else's happiness before your own. Love means building up instead of tearing down. Love means choosing each other every day, even when it's not easy. Love means never giving up, even when everything seems impossible. Love means forgiveness and second chances and believing in forever." Amina tilted her face up to kiss him. "I love you," Ethan called her. "I love you too," Amina called her. "And I love Leela. And I love the baby we're going to have. And I love the life we're building together." Even when Leela decides to redecorate the living room with finger paints, especially then as they went inside to check on Lila one more time before bed, Ethan felt a deep sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought them to this moment. The pain of their separation had been real, but it had also made them stronger. They appreciated each other more, fought for their relationship harder, and never took their happiness for granted. Lila was fast asleep, clutching the stuffed elephant Ethan had bought her the day after their first meeting. Her face was peaceful and happy, the face of a child who knew she was completely loved and protected. "Sweet dreams, baby girl,"
Amina whispered, tucking the blankets around their daughter. "Sweet dreams, Lila," Ethan added. "Dream about being the best big sister in the world." As they walked to their own bedroom, hand in hand, Ethan realized that this was what he had been searching for his entire life without knowing it. Not success or wealth or recognition, but this simple, profound joy of being exactly where he belonged, with exactly the right people, building exactly the right life. Outside their window, the city continued its endless cycle of lights and movement. But inside their home, everything was peaceful and perfect, and exactly as it should be. And for the first time in 8 years, Ethan Calder went to sleep, knowing that he would wake up tomorrow morning with everything he had ever dreamed of still right there beside him. Their love story had begun with a simple greeting and a green dress. It had been interrupted by lies and manipulation and years of separation. But it had survived because real love always finds a way. And this time it would last forever. What started with a child's letter had become the foundation of a love that would span generations. Layla would grow up knowing that love conquers all, that families can heal from anything, and that sometimes the best stories have the longest waits for their happy endings. Can love really overcome years of separation, lies, and manipulation to bring a family together? Subscribe and share your thoughts about second chances and the power of true love in the comments below. Your engagement helps us create more stories about hope, healing, and the courage to fight for what matters most. As Ethan drifted off to sleep with his wife in his arms and their daughter safe down the hall, he smiled at the thought of the future they would build together. A future filled with birthday parties Amina would plan, business successes they would celebrate together, and quiet moments when they would remember how close they came to losing it all. But they hadn't lost it. They had found each other again, stronger and wiser and more grateful than ever. And that Ethan thought as sleep finally claimed him was the greatest success story of all.